Imagine a country with almost no oil that became the world's largest energy empire in just 50 years. A nation that went from riding bicycles to running the most powerful oil machine on the planet. This is not just a story about oil. This is a story about power, strategy, and one country's obsession with energy domination. Welcome to the China Oil Empire. Today, China controls more oil infrastructure than any other nation on Earth. Its state-owned energy giants operate in over 70 countries. They drill in Africa, pump in the Middle East, and invest billions across South America. But how did this happen? And what does it mean for the rest of the world? Let's go back to the beginning. In 1949, when the People's Republic of China was founded, the country was an energy wasteland. There was almost no modern oil infrastructure, no refineries, no pipelines, no drilling technology. China was dependent on the Soviet Union for fuel and machinery. Its annual oil production was a mere 120,000 tons, enough to power a small city for a few weeks. But then came a discovery that changed everything. In 1959, Chinese geologists discovered a massive oil field beneath the frozen plains of Heilongjiang province in northeastern China. They called it Daqing, meaning great celebration. Chairman Mao called it a national miracle. He launched a campaign across China. In industry, learn from Daqing. Thousands of workers flooded the region. They drilled through permafrost with bare hands and basic tools. By 1963, China declared oil self-sufficiency for the first time in its modern history. From that single oil field, a giant was born. As China's economy grew in the 1980s and 1990s, the government realized that one oil field was not enough. China needed an empire, and three massive state-owned corporations would build it. The first giant was CNPC, China National Petroleum Corporation. Founded in 1988, CNPC became China's upstream powerhouse. It drills, it extracts, it controls the wells. Today, CNPC operates in over 30 countries and produces more oil than most OPEC nations. The second giant was Sinopec, China Petrochemical Corporation. If CNPC finds the oil, Sinopec processes it. With over 30,000 petrol stations across China, Sinopec is the world's largest oil refiner. Every single day, it processes nearly 5 million barrels of crude oil. To put that in perspective, that is more than the entire daily oil output of Kuwait. The third giant was CNOOC, China National Offshore Oil Corporation. While the others worked on land, CNOOC went to sea. It built massive offshore platforms in the South China Sea, the Bohai Bay, and eventually, the deep waters of Africa and the Americas. Together, these three companies form what analysts call the China Oil Empire. By the early 2000s, China's economy was exploding. Factories were running 24 hours a day. Cities were expanding at a rate the world had never seen. And all of this required one thing: massive amounts of energy. China faced a terrifying reality. Its own oil reserves were not enough. It needed to go global. And so began one of the most aggressive energy acquisition campaigns in human history. China turned its eyes to Africa first. In Sudan, CNPC invested billions when Western companies had left due to sanctions. In Angola, Chinese oil companies signed deals worth over $10 billion. In Nigeria, Gabon, and Equatorial Guinea, Chinese drilling rigs arrived with Chinese workers, Chinese equipment, and Chinese money. Africa gave China something priceless: oil without political conditions. Then came the Middle East. China became the largest buyer of Saudi Arabian crude oil. It signed long-term energy agreements with Iraq, Iran, and the UAE. While America was fighting wars in the region, China was signing contracts. In South America, China poured billions into Venezuela, Brazil, and Ecuador. When Venezuela's economy collapsed and Western banks refused to lend, China kept the oil flowing, in exchange for guaranteed oil shipments for decades. By 2010, China had secured oil supply agreements across 6 continents. The empire was complete. In 2013, Chinese President Xi Jinping announced one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects in human history, the Belt and Road Initiative. On the surface, it was about building roads, railways, and ports. But energy analysts saw something deeper. It was China's master plan to protect its oil supply routes. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, worth over $60 billion, included a dedicated pipeline to carry oil and gas from the Arabian Sea directly to China, bypassing the vulnerable South China Sea route. New pipelines were built through Central Asia, from Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan, crossing thousands of kilometers of desert to reach western China. Russia and China signed a historic $400 billion gas deal. The Power of Siberia pipeline now carries Russian gas directly into Chinese cities. China was not just buying oil, it was building the roads to guarantee its delivery, forever. But no chapter of the China oil empire is more controversial than the South China Sea. Beneath these disputed waters lie an estimated 11 billion barrels of oil and 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. China claims nearly 90% of the South China Sea, a claim rejected by Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and an international tribunal. Despite international opposition, CNOOC began drilling in disputed waters. China built artificial islands, complete with airstrips and military facilities, to protect its drilling operations. The world watched in disbelief. But China had calculated its move carefully. Control the sea, control the oil, control the future. The South China Sea gamble remains one of the most dangerous geopolitical flashpoints on Earth, and oil is at its center. Let's talk about the scale of China's oil empire, because the numbers are almost impossible to believe. China is the world's largest oil importer, bringing in over 10 million barrels of crude oil every single day. Sinopec alone generates annual revenues of over $400 billion, making it consistently one of the top 3 largest companies in the entire world by revenue. CNPC operates in 35 countries across 6 continents. It has more international oil assets than ExxonMobil. CNOOC's offshore platforms operate in waters as deep as 3,000 meters, technology that only a handful of nations possess. And yet, here is the great paradox of the China oil empire. While China dominates the global oil industry, it is simultaneously the world's largest investor in renewable energy. Solar panels, wind farms, electric vehicles, China leads them all. Is China preparing for a world after oil? Or is it ensuring it controls both the old energy and the new? The China oil empire did not happen by accident. It was built through decades of strategic planning, massive investment, and a willingness to operate where others would not. From a country that could barely fuel its own economy in 1950, China now controls one of the most powerful energy networks the world has ever seen. CNPC, Sinopec, CNOOC, 3 companies, 1 mission, total energy security. But the story is not over. As the world transitions away from fossil fuels, the question is, will China's oil empire adapt and survive? Or will it become the last great monument of the petroleum age? One thing is certain. Whatever China decides, the world will feel it. This has been the story of the China oil empire. If this documentary opened your eyes, hit subscribe, because the world's biggest stories are still being told. Thank you for watching.